All right, well, that's pretty harsh there. So let's bring in Daniel Wilcox, who played for the Ravens. That's pretty harsh there. That's a rivalry. That's like Yankees Red Sox. You don't like somebody, you just talk trash for the rest of the year.
Absolutely, Chris. That's how it goes a lot of times, man. When you start playing these teams and you got these battles, they put the media. It's always the media fault, right? They put these guys up against each other, and it starts something brewing. Then you get guys like Chris McAllister start talking trash, man. It's a wrap.
Exactly. Well, it's funny. I was doing research, Daniel. These two teams have never played each other in preseason. It's fascinating with all the games they played in regular season games. They
Mhm.
never played a preseason game against each other. And I know tomorrow, Thursday night, you're not going to see Lamar Jackson. You're not going to see,
Mhm.
on the other side, you're not going to see the bowling ball, and the good running back the Tennessee Titans have, you know, because of you're trying to keep them healthy. But what is a fan going to do when they come to M&T Bank Stadium on Thursday night, knowing that they're not going to see Lamar Jackson, they're not going to see the starters, and they're going to see Hundley, they're going to see other tight ends. How do you get people to come down to watch a preseason game like that?
Well, I mean, I think everybody's excited about seeing the new talent that the Ravens have to offer. Of course, you want to see who Tennessee have as well, but I mean, Huntley is probably as good as any starting quarterback in the league. So I mean, you're not going to miss out on much. I don't feel like there's much of a drop off between him and Lamar Jackson. Actually, they almost exact same prototypes. If you take number two off his jersey, I think it's kind of hard to tell who's who on the field. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the fans will come out. The Ravens fans are different from anywhere else. They're going to be out there no matter what. It's not no fair weather thing in Baltimore. They're 100% going to be at every game. Even the preseason games are sold out in Baltimore. So I think it'll be exciting for the fans to just get out there, to get back into that football mode. People are going to get used to their new seats and stuff like that, and think about what new beer they're going to buy for the season.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
Daniel, I guess who's back on the program? Georgia Sheriff. Yeah, I know you're a coach. So and he's late for the program. So what do you do with a late person that doesn't show up on the field right away? Do you give them laps? Do you get them? What do you do?
No, the laps thing is usually when you like little league. You try to, you make them run until your coach get tired. But the older you get, the more extensive it gets. You got alligator crawls. You got duck walks. You got to roll the field. Stuff like that. Stuff to make you throw up.
You got to buy the team dinner.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In the NFL, if you late, you looking for somebody else to buy you dinner because you're gonna get kicked off the team. They're gonna
Right?
cut you. Yeah,
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 yeah. Well, Daniel,
yeah.
you had those times that people ask you to buy dinner. Did you say I'll buy dinner and then use somebody else's credit card?
You know what? I got blessed, Chris. I went to the New York Jets as a rookie. I was an
Mm-hmm.
undrafted free agent, and I never got hazed. I never had to buy a meal. I wasn't usually only the guys that got to buy the meal are the high draft picks.
Right, right.
And then they run the build up to like 50, 60,000 and make them blow like a bunch of their money. But for undrafted guys, you don't get that. Most I had to do was like carry shoulder pads out to practice and helmets. Maybe take the dummies in, and I might have got tied to a football pole once or twice, but that's about it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, George, go ahead. Go ask Daniel a question. Go ahead.
So first of all, I come in. You guys are talking about Yankees, and then we're talking rivalries.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, Chris. There's no better division for rivalries than the Bengals, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers. Each team equally hates each other
That's true.
that much. Okay,
Yeah.
and to me, in the end, we all see them hug it out at the end of the game and all this other
Hmm.
stuff. But Chris, that's why it's competitive. You're
Right.
you're not supposed to like the other guy across from you because that makes you
Absolutely.
soft.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
football of old.
but you don't realize the AFC North or the AFC Central had Tennessee in there before they went to the South.
Mm.
Yeah, and so it's kind of but it still has that pedigree of like, oh, you're an old neighbor. How you doing?
Right.
I still don't like you. What's going on?
In my experience, when I was in Baltimore, the Ravens were it was like the best defense in the world,
Mhm.
and they made it a point to hold every running back under 100 yards. No running back could get 100 yards on the Ravens. And Ray Lewis and company, Ed Reed, Suggs, all those guys, C-Mac, we had some of the toughest, hard-nosed DBs I've ever seen in the NFL. Like Chris McAllister, to me, is probably one of the best all-time DVs that never get credit. Probably because he was a savage outside the field as well, But Chris, to me, never gets enough props and credit for the type of player that he was, man. And to have Ed Reed, or Chris McAllister, or Ray Lewis, and company, Terrell Suggs, you had a guy on every level that was just all-world, all-pro, Hall of Fame type caliber type players. I think Chris McAllister was a Hall of Famer. Samari Rolle, same thing with Samari, man. But the Ravens would go into every game trying to stop those running backs from getting 100 yards. And Eddie George is the kind of running back that gets 100 yards every single game. Yeah. So no matter what, it was going to be a piss match every game.
Right, exactly. And you practice against these guys, in training camp, and you must have went home going, "Oh my God, my shoulder hurts like heck." Jeez.
I was a little different, Chris. So by the time I got to the Ravens, I had already been in New York, played against Sam Coward, Mo Lewis, Marvin Jones, some of the best big linebackers in the league. They had John Abraham, Sean Big Cat on the offensive, on the D line. And then I left to go to Tampa with Derek Brooks, Simeon Rice, Warren Sapp, John Lynch, so I just played against some dogs every single day in practice my first 3 or 4 years before I got to Baltimore. And then I get to Baltimore and I'm playing against your Ray Lewis's, your Ed Reeds, your Terrell Suggs, your Jared Johnsons, and it never stopped. Your Bart Scott. So I was always going against probably the most elite guys in the league every year. I mean, Brooks is already in the Hall of Fame. Warren Sapp is already in the Hall of Fame. Of course, Ray's in, Ed's in already. Suggs is next. So I mean, I played against some dogs from day one.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And they're all from Miami, the Hurricanes. That defense was so good. And I had a chance to talk to Warren Sapp when he got inducted in the Hall of Fame, and he was telling me stories that like he looked at his phone number on his phone and it was like such and such number. He goes, "Who the hell's calling?" So he picked up and he goes, "Yo, what's up?" And he goes, and it was Michael Irvin. He goes, "Yo, dog, we're gonna take care of you here." And he goes, "That's what Miami is, brotherhood.
It is.
We take care of everybody." And I'm like, "That's cool." Yeah. And I told him I'm a Florida State Seminole fan, and he almost wanted to kill me, but it's okay.
Yeah. That's when he stopped the interview.
Yeah.
I can tell you this right now, Chris, man. Playing in Baltimore, I got a chance to play with Ed and Ray and Willis McGahee, and I played with Santana when I was with the Jets, Santana Moss. Just playing with those guys, I think I had Nate Webster too, and Warren Sapp in Tampa. But playing with those guys, they made me really envious of the University of Miami. I mean, Ed Reed would have the license tag on his car. He would literally play in the games. The black wristbands that Ed used to play on his elbow, it was University of Miami wristbands. He would turn them inside out. So they all had like the U tattooed on them. I went to Appalachian State. I didn't want any of that stuff. I didn't even have a bumper sticker on my car at App State.
We love Appalachian State, by the way.
I love Appalachian too.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah. Now, Danielle, I'll say this. I live in the mountains of Western North Carolina, so I'll ask you the question. What was it like to play at Kid Brewer Stadium on the campus of Appalachian State University? It's not far from me, here. I know it's a couple hours north of up in beautiful Boone, North Carolina.
Well, I tell you what, man, Boone was exactly what I needed at that time in my life. It wasn't a lot of distractions, just house parties and bars and stuff like that. But I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't a smoker. So I was never out in the world, like around the town like that, So what I needed to do was be able to just focus on football, and Boone created that environment for me. But Boone fans are a lot like Baltimore fans. The only difference is Baltimore actually have a nightlife. Boone doesn't really have that nightlife. So everybody in the town comes to an App State football game. It's the best date in the whole freaking, northeast, I think northeast North Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Daniel.
Yeah, it's the best freaking date that you could take your girl to, up in the northeast part of North Carolina. So every single game, the town was shut down. Everybody in the town would be at the App State football game, which made for a great atmosphere. You had great students. The students could just walk to the game. It was really easy. Most of them stayed right outside the stadium. So, I think when I played, it was 15,000 students there. All 15,000 was at the game with their shirts off with App State written across their shirt, with eye black on them. I mean, it was insane. You could go jump in the stands like Lumbo, like at Green Bay. Mm-hmm. And it was a great experience of playing football, man. And since you had such a rich history of winning, it kept you always in that situation where the game was going to be intense. And it was a bunch of rivalry games just like Baltimore. You know, Baltimore to me is such a great situation that it feels like you're a part of a movie set.
That's true.
Yeah.
Adam, you got a question? Or not?
Yeah.
Adam. Not Adam. George, you got a question, right? Go ahead. Sorry.
So,
Go ahead.
so Daniel, sorry about that. I kind of came in just with a comment. It was a good comment that we all expanded on.
Mhm.
So being in the AFC North, what was your best rivalry game?
In the AFC North, hands down, Pittsburgh. You know, it's the game that, I mean, when I played, Cincinnati was okay. They had Chad Johnson and they had Husmanzada, you know, and they played really well, but the defense wasn't scary. You know, Cleveland they always had the number one pick on D line. They had a whole D line full of number one picks. But for some reason, they just had never put it together.
Just never materialized.
Yeah, then they went through the staph infection thing where everybody was getting staph in Cleveland. But Pittsburgh was always solid every single year. Like, they never disappointed you. We've seen them twice every year. They was gonna have the number one, number two defense in the league, top 5 every single year, just like us. And it was going to be a defensive battle. You know, nobody challenged us as much in the AFC as Pittsburgh did. And it was always some locker room literature to kind of get you pissed off for that game.
And points are always important, right? Because your game differences in scores were single digits. I mean, these were never blowout games. These were games that, you know, some of them came down to like a possible last play of a game.
Absolutely. That game made you realize, like, Any Given Sunday, the movie with what is it, Al Pacino? Mm-hmm. He said, "This is a game of inches. It's a game of inches." That game made you realize that quote was 100% accurate. You know, it could be you'll lose that game by literally 1 inch. You know, or it'll be a tip. It'll be a ball that'll get intercepted off the tip of somebody's fingers. Or, you know, it was so crazy. You know, just that game, it was always intense. And then James Harrison, I mean, just playing against James. I call James Debo, you know, from the movie Friday. You know, he was Tiny Lester to me, man. He had a great Debo impersonation too as well. But, you know, just playing against those guys. James Farrier was my ex-teammate from the New York Jets. You know, he was one of their star linebackers over there. We called him Potsy. You know, but it's just, man, it was such a great experience, man, just playing against Pittsburgh week in and week out. Every single time, you knew it was going to come down to the wire, and you knew you couldn't make any mistake. It was going to be the team that was most polished that was going to win that game every single year.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, I got a question to ask you. So this first preseason game, there's only 3 preseason games now. It used to be 4. Mm-hmm. You know, so what in your first preseason game of the season, what are you working on? I know you're probably not going to be playing the whole game. But you're going to, you know, what are you as a tight end trying to get yourself ready for the season? Because I know a lot of these players now are not playing the first preseason game. And, I feel like they should play a snap. But my girlfriend was right. What if they get hurt and they're done for the year? I totally understand that.
Yeah, I think as a early guy, early on when you first get in the league, your first 2-3 years, you're just trying to figure everything out. You're trying to figure out where you fit in. You're trying to impress the coaches. It's never enough time in preseason for you to do anything spectacular. You may get 1 or 2 passes per game, at tight end. So if you're not doing some spectacular stuff blocking, you may not get seen. So special teams was a huge opportunity for you to try to make some plays and show them that you belong. So preseason was just trying to make the team for me my first 3 or 4 years. Once I got to Baltimore, I was kind of established. I kind of knew where I was. I didn't even want to play a preseason game. I felt like it was a waste of time. Like, why am I still playing these? Like, you already know what I can do. I can play. I'm a starter on the team. I'm risking getting hurt every time I come out there. And we only play 1 series. Most of the time you play 1 series, 2 series, and we're done. So I was done usually before the first quarter was over with. And those 2 series sometimes are 3 and out. So you only play 6 plays. Right. So it's like I got dressed up to play 6 plays. I would have much rather just not risk getting hurt on those 6 plays at all and just wait for the season to start where I get a chance to play 65 plays that game and get a chance to really improve myself. And I think I really honestly believe, I believe this 100%. If you take that whole month of preseason for those older guys and let them just hit the weight room and continue to get bigger and stronger and not get so beat up during the preseason, I think they'll start the season a lot better. Most of those guys have been in the offense 2 or 3 years of defense. Our defense, Rex Ryan had never left. He was there forever. So those guys knew the defense like the back of their hand. What do they got to show you that they didn't already know? Right. Any wrinkles you put in, it's just 1 or 2 or 3 new plays that they haven't seen. So it's nothing crazy that they're missing out on. So I never really understood why we would go out and play preseason games once you was 4 or 5, 6 years into the league. Those younger guys, they got to show you that they can play and they can make the team why not give them that whole game to show you that they belong there? You know, the problem is with preseason is though those young guys get a chance to beat out some of the older guys like myself. You know, so guys that been around is kind of on that bubble, that 30 and up mark, the number 30 player and up. Those guys don't have a choice but to play just to try to hold on to their positions.
Yeah, and we saw it last year with Dobbs going down in that final preseason game against the the football team in Washington, and then he was done for the whole year, and now he's slowly getting himself back to form. I guess he might be ready for the Jet game on September 11th, but that took a whole season, and the Ravens had to use running back by committee.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose your number one pick overall to a preseason game, it kind of makes you want to reevaluate everything that you're doing. The Ravens had a very unique year last year with so many injuries, man. I mean, every time you turned around, they was losing an offensive lineman, or they lost every single running back on the team. You lose your star quarterback, you lose all your DBs. Like, I mean, that never happens, man. So they had a very rare year last year. So to lose as much as they lost in the preseason in the running back room, I think is heartbreaking, and that it's no way to prepare for that as a GM or as a player personnel guy. You never expect you to lose every single player in one position.
Exactly. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We'll get you on the week after the Cardinal game, because I know that's a Sunday night football game on Fox. That's going to be very interesting, and that's the second preseason game. So you don't know, Lamar might play a series, or he might wait till Washington probably again.
Nah, you won't see Lamar this preseason. If you see Lamar, I'll be absolutely shocked. If you want to see number 8, you got to go to Ravens practice field at Owens Mills. One winning drive.
Exactly. Hey, real quick, Daniel, I got to tell you a story about Lamar Jackson. I met him back in college. We did a show down there at the ACC kickoff, and here comes this shy kid coming in, and his name was Lamar Jackson. Right. So he comes to our booth, to our little table, and I go, and my buddy Ewan was interviewing him, and I have the picture. I'll send it to you. And he's so quiet. He's wearing his gold chain, his cross, and all that stuff. He goes, "Yeah, I'm doing really great. I want to play football, and and I want to be like." And he was very quiet, Yeah. So he wins the Heisman that year, and next year he's the talker of the ACC kickoff. I looked at him like, "What are you now? You just yap now? You just keep talking more?" And he's like, "Yeah, when you win the champion, win the Heisman, you just keep yapping." And I'm like, "Really? Okay." But he was cool to talk to me because he knows me. Yeah. And then I saw him at the end of the year. I said, "So you're going pro, right?" And he's like, "I can't tell you." I was like, "You can tell me. I'm not ESPN, okay? I'm not going to sit there and go,
Nice try, Chris.
I know. I was trying to get an inside tip, but it's funny. He does the bowl game, and then 2 days later, he's off to the NFL. I'm like, "Oh, okay, nice try." Yeah.
People don't realize how young Lamar is. I feel like he get more haters than anybody I've ever seen in my life, man. But I mean, people don't realize how young of I mean, he literally came out of high school early because he was super smart, did well, ended up in ACC school, or what is Louisville? Louisville ACC?
Yeah, Louisville. Yeah, it's ACC.
Yeah, ACC, and he's only there for 3 years.
Yeah.
So that means he come out of Louisville almost 2 years earlier than most kids.
Right.
So I mean, 3 years earlier if you think about it. So he's still one of the youngest quarterbacks in the NFL today. Yeah. If not, if he's not number 1, he's number 2.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. He's still scoring my Seminoles. It's still 71 to whatever. He put a lot of points against the Noles that year. He's still scoring.
Yes, I'm sorry, man. Florida State ain't been good in a long time.
Oh my God, it's been terrible. Because since Jimbo left, or that year that Jimbo decided to pack up the Christmas tree and go to Texas A&M.
Jameis Winston was our last hope, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. And truthfully, if you want to look at it, that's a different story for another day. I'll talk to you off the phone, on the phone about that. But I think he shouldn't be around.
You don't think he should be playing in the NFL?
No, he shouldn't have been playing that year because he got himself in trouble.
Got you. Yeah, I remember him getting in trouble.
Yeah, to me, it seems like, what are you doing? You basically bought the championship.
I was just going to type 4 letters or 7 letters or 8 letters into the chat.
Okay.
That's all
Baltimore.
Hey, where it stole from? Stole from Publix.
Yeah, crab legs.
It's all about the crab legs. Nobody gets that.
Hey, I got to take this offense real quick. He didn't know that Publix decided to cancel that thing, and nobody told him. Wow. And I'm like, really? I was like, you should have paid attention. If your buddy says no, you can't have it. does not mean you go behind the counter and cook your own crab legs and roll out the door. You know,
it's ridiculous, man. With the things that college athletes used to get involved in and get in trouble doing, man. And it just goes to show you why the NIL deals are so important, right? Like you got to really give these kids something so they don't have to do stupid stuff like that, right?
So,
and it's fair. I think it's only fair. I really do think the NIL thing is on point, name, image, and likeness. But this is what I believe should happen. You give them whatever that deal is. You budget whatever they get monthly, and then the rest of it goes into a pot they don't get till they graduate.
That's how I feel. That's a good idea.
So, Chris, I was going to follow up with that really quick with Daniel on that because he brought the NIL stuff. That whole deal was just by the NCAA was just a mess.
Yes.
Just an absolute mess. They threw it out there. It happens. The president of the NCAA resigns, and all of these kids, all of them, they're seeing is dollar signs. The first thing I would have, this is just my opinion outside looking in.
Okay.
First thing I'm doing, I'm going to find myself an accountant. Right? I gotta make sure that I'm not going to put myself in trouble because Uncle Sam's going to come looking for his money. And I don't want to see I don't want to see any player, any sport get in trouble because they didn't allocate for the IRS.
Right.
That's why I wholeheartedly believe you budget the kids. You give them $2,000 a month. $2,000-$3,000 a month as a college student is more than enough. So if they get millions, they put the rest of that into a pot. So that money can accrue and grow interest for those guys. And then they still can use that money to pay off whatever taxes they have for the money that they actually spend. So I would never tell a kid to get an accountant. The accountants are the ones that usually rip these kids off. Even in NFL, we all experience the best. Even Terrell Owens got hit by, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't have time to watch your money like that. They put it in somebody else's.
That's a guy like me on the outside thinking in that direction, not knowing that there's characters out there giving you guys, the bad business. Right. And that's just not acceptable.
Right. I think it should be put in some kind of trust that they can't touch until they graduate from college. I don't want to put a stipulation on that they have to graduate because a lot of guys will actually, leave like I did. I ended up leaving school in my last 4 classes to go take my shot at the NFL. And I made it and almost played 10 years, so I wouldn't be able to get my money now until 10 years later if it had to be a graduation stipulation on it. Yep. So if you take that stipulation off and just say, hey, we're going to put it in the pot until you're out of school, period. Right. Once you're out of school, then when you get ready to chance to start your life with your wife that you met in college and you're getting married, you have this pot of money that you've earned. Sure. And now you got access to that money to pay off whatever taxes is owed and to pay for your new wedding or your new home or whatever it is that you want to move into to start your family the right way.
Exactly. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on tonight and enjoy the rest of your week and, take care of that son of yours. I know he's playing a lot of sports. So
he's in the background right now. One of them in the background right now getting a haircut. You see him?
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
I was going to say, I knew someone was getting a haircut.
Yeah, I was like, somebody's in the barbershop.
That's the other one right there that you was talking about. They're playing all the games over there on his phone. That's
I see that. Yeah.
When he's not playing, he's on his phone. Say, hey, Tristan.
Hey, man. How you doing?
And then that guy back there in the black hat, that's the best barber in town. That's one of my best friends, been around forever, Dean Lewis.
Hey, Dean.
Yeah.
Hey.
They said hi, Dean.
Come down. Get a haircut.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys.
No doubt. Thank you guys for having me again. I'll see you guys after the, what did you say, Cardinals game?
Yeah, after the Cardinal game. Yeah.
I'll see you guys then.
Excellent.
Right, see you.
All right. Bye-bye.
It's always good that Daniel Wilcox on our program. That's a great interview. See, that's why we have to make it 20 minutes with him, 25 minutes.
That's good stuff. That was good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and he enjoyed it.